Ladies, I'm about to change screens right now, and you may not be ready for this sexy. I just saying, prepare yourselves. You know, I don't know what you do. You know, think Ed Asner skinny dipping, whatever you need to kind of tamp down your, I mean, I don't know, for some people that would excite you more. I don't know, whatever works for you. That doesn't work for you, yeah, you're braced. Because this might be too much sexy for you to handle. I know what you're thinking. The only thing that could make this sexier is a single plank of wood in a plastic bag for no fucking reason. I agree. Anytime I can see two caterpillars crawling across a blanched plain on their way to, I guess, mate at Bridgecrest Mountain. So this is, you know what, me? Hey guys, I love, not only, there are two things I love in the right-wing vlogosphere. One, of course, beyond people who write their name all over their show a dozen times. That's the Bongholio thing. Is people who tell me what I think. Like, liberals are freaking out that the liberals are doing that. Liberals are reacting in such a way. Liberals are planning. That's the other one. Oh, please, tell me what my plan is. I can't wait. I wait with bated breath. Let me sharpen my pencil. What are my plans again? World domination through how? Oh, stampeding Mexicans and Yemeni terrorists. Okay. And why would I do that? Oh, because I hate the country. Right. I see. So why do I keep voting? Oh, so I can hand it over to socialists. Okay. And then what are the socialists going to do? Communism? Okay. All right. And then after communism, totalitarianism? And then what happens? Oh, I get shot. I see. All right. Great. My plan seems... I have some flaws in my plan. I would like to work them out. But in this... yeah. The other thing I like is when... these guys give unsolicited advice to people they'll arguably never be in the same room with. Now, there's a chance that somebody at the Daily Wire or in Ben Shapiro's orbit very well might be around Elon Musk at some point. That's possible. As an interview, because they have the same weed dealer, but it won't be Ben. But this one's titled 4 Things Elon Musk Must Do with Twitter. Oh dear. I'm very excited. I hope none of it involves a zipper hood, although I fear looking at this man that it very well may. Let's find out.
To fire everyone. I mean everyone.
You're fired! So the first one is fire everyone. So basically, he went to the Devin Nunes School of Business Management. Fire everyone. The programmers, the techs, the security people. Yeah, just fire and rehire everyone. Why are you buying a fucking company then? Why didn't you just buy the name? Why would you buy the company unless the essentials of it were sound? And also, understand this dipshit, his organization consists of probably 9 to 15 people. And this just proves to you, let's watch the little gif.
Musk needs to come in and he needs to fire everyone. I mean everyone.
You're fired!
The simple fact is that
it does add a level of dynamism to his programming. It's it's much more exciting when he has the comedy bits, the comedy clips, the comedy-ish stuff put in there. This actually says more about, look how angry he is. This actually shows more about how Ben Shapiro views people who work at the Daily Wire. Everyone is expendable. No one has value but you. In Ben's mind, he and Elon Musk are equals.
Twitter, as it was operated, was a leftist organ. And you can...
No, it isn't. By any means. If you want to see a leftist organ, though, I can help you out.
That by the freakout.
If you try to put it in a paper bag, though, or I guess a plastic bag, well, I mean, safety third.
Musk's takeover is now engendering in the left. It is incredible to watch the left lose its...
Hold on. Also, again, I love being told. Sorry, that's louder than it should be. I don't know quite why. Let me see. Oh, this guy. Let me see. There we go. All right, now I'm ready. I've seen a lot of people like clamor about this, but I wouldn't say that the entirety of left-leaning Twitter is packing it up. They didn't all bail at once. For fuck's sake.
Absolute mind. Because here's the thing. Musk has not announced that he is going to be making any massive changes to Twitter. The user experience is going to be very similar. All he has said thus far is that he is going to be in favor of more free speech on the platform. He tweeted, quote, "Free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy. Twitter is the digital town square where matters vital to the future of humanity are debated."
By the way, for the record, no, he didn't. He didn't tweet that. He tweeted, "Yes! Rockets, hearts, and singy stars," on top of this clipped picture of someone else's thing.
Make Twitter better than ever by enhancing the product with new features, making the algorithms open source to increase trust, defeating the spam.
His publicist wrote that.
And authenticating all humans. Twitter has tremendous potential. I look forward to working with the company and the community of users to unlock it. Now that sounds pretty above board, right? He's saying that he wants to make the algorithms open source so you can actually see how the algorithms work.
Right. Yeah. And he's going to verify. Guess what? By the way, why does he look like kind of like he's always auditioning for some sort of Batman villain roadshow? Simmer, young man. Also, the opening of the algorithm and the fact that he wants to verify everybody. Remember, most of these dickheads constantly slam people for quote-unquote being blue check marks. Never mind the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene's congressional account and her original account before it got booted from the site was, or boated. It was probably a Trump boat parade that took it away. They had blue check marks. Trump had a blue check mark. Everybody verified as a blue check mark. And effectively, what I have been calling for a long time has been, if you have a blue check mark for big accounts that are kind of name accounts, like that are either celebrities or something like that, and those are verified as that actual, and then there's civilian verification, which would be like an orange check mark or some other version of that, or everybody can get a blue check mark as long as it's really fucking you, right? I don't care. But that way you know you're talking to a real person and not a bot farm.
Saying that he wants more free speech on the platform. That's it. More transparency and more free speech, and the left is freaking out, which shows you...
Was I freaking out? Did you guys freak out? I was freaking out. Did I freak out? I feel like am I freaking out? Let me check in. No, I'm okay. All right.
One, the left really hates transparency and they really hate free speech.
No, I did not cut my hair. I have a ponytail.
Especially on these social media platforms. And this has really been true since 2016. I have been making this point for years on end.
Yes, we know you're repetitive and boring. We get it. Yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice living, you know.
Until 2016, social media was seen as an unmitigated blessing for the left. The left loved social media.
What the fuck are you talking about? Most of us know that if it wasn't for Twitter, Trump wouldn't even be a thing.
After all, Barack Obama had effectively manipulated Facebook in 2012 in genius ways.
Manipulated it in genius ways. You mean used it as a get out the vote campaign site, like you should?
To achieve his own re-election. Then, Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016, and social media became the enemy to the left. Social media had to be brought to heel. Social media had...
What are you talking about? Trump is the one who said we got to get rid of 230, which would basically, effectively what he was doing was pulling up the ladder after him. He knew full well that if he could, as dumb as he is, manipulate Twitter and masses of people, so could anybody else. So effectively, the elimination of Section 230, which was what he was doing, would have gutted all social media. You couldn't have it because you'd be sued into fucking oblivion. So he basically was, again, like pulling the ladder up after him after he'd already gotten in the lifeboat.
Over by Russian spam bots and evil right-wingers. And
also, he's obviously been taking, I think Russell Brand has a master class in being an online dipshit. The fall. Move more. People are complaining that you're just reading from your laptop, Ben.
Therefore, we needed governmental oversight. You saw people like Kara Swisher constantly complaining at the New York Times that there just wasn't enough oversight.
Did I? Have I seen her constantly? Kara Swisher. Am I supposed to read her constantly? Is that how the press works?
Wasn't enough censorship at places like Twitter and YouTube and Facebook.
Is that what she said? Kara Swisher? Let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Oh, I probably go over here because it's going to knock my headphones off, and that'll be all crazy. Let's see. Give me 1 second, and let's see. Kara Swisher. Oh, Kara. Sorry. Kara Swisher. Okay. Kara Swisher on Elon Musk. You can't pin him down. Musk Twitter, weed memes, and funding secured. Host of Sway. This is Kara Fisher's thing. I think I recognize her. Let's see. There must be, and she's obviously writing on this a lot. So let me show you. This is her latest. She's basically got a every 5-day byline, like once a week, something like that. Musk Twitter, weed memes, edible tweets, and the return of Trump. The newest social media honcho will face a bevy of business challenges at Twitter. Elon Musk swoops in on Twitter's bargain basement stock. Simple, innocent joy and gifts. Yuri Milner's Russian clapback. Florida lawmakers advance homophobia to DeSantis' desk. Tech offers silver lining in Ukraine. Donald Trump's glitchy, snaggy social media rollout. She isn't calling for... I mean, Truth Social's having a day right now. Meta's horrible, no good, very bad quarter where the stock went down. Neil Young leaving Spotify. Remember these stories? Gosh, I feel... Hey, it's like going backwards in time through Pearl Clutch Forest. Edible tweets. I think she means like tweets about edibles. Yeah. Here we go. We need more. Okay, who's behind Web 3? I suffered slings and arrows for daring to question the next iteration of the web. We need less talk and more action from Congress on tech. Missouri talks with Congress while Congress dithers. Squares, blocks, and cubes. What is happening in Silicon Valley? The prescience of 1970s future shock. You know what they're saying. You are the product. Is Meta's facial recognition retreat another head fake? Escaping the metaverse. Beyond Zuckerberg. Rolling on a hard place. Trouble comes for big tech. Will the industry finally have its feet held to the fire? I'm not... Okay, Hollywood recover. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for the endless Facebook apology. Don't get Bezos'd. A spyware flaw. Elizabeth Holmes in my latest Facebook alert. Okay. September 11th. Conundrum. Medium at the moment. Crackdown in China is a hot mess, and it's coming for us. On the internet, they're killing people. Biden isn't quite right, but he's not quite wrong. Why the president says Facebook is endangering Americans. Sorry we can't go back to the movies. It's July 8th, 2021. We're going way back. The terrible... Was there a good Facebook appointed panel avoided a clear decision about Trump's heinous online behavior? It's kind of perfect, actually. All right, I don't see it. I was hoping for a big, like, we need more censorship on big tech platforms, just right out in the open. So far, nothing.
You saw folks over at CNBC and MSNBC complaining routinely about how terrible it was that social media had allowed too many people to speak freely. You saw Dianne Feinstein.
Is that how they worded it? That too many people were allowed to speak freely? Citation needed. Facts don't care about your feelings, and your intuition that that's what they were saying is bullshit.
Senator from California openly say to Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook that unless you crack down on content, we will find a way to punish you.
Just content? If you don't crack down on content, you know, widgets, jibber jabber, gobbledygook. If I see any of that shit in my timeline, flibberty gibbets. If you let any more flibberty gibbets online, they'll be hell to pay.
Has hated free speech on these platforms for years.
Well, no. I mean, obviously hate speech and anti-Semitism and anti-gay screeds and QAnon and stuff, it's got some problems. But they don't hate free speech. I mean, this is just childish.
Specifically.
By the way, unless, and I can give Ben the benefit of the doubt here, unless Ben is arguing for more child porn on Facebook. If that's what he wants, if he wants true free speech, why can't Stormfront have a Facebook page? Right? I mean, true free speech. Because obviously, if I don't want that. I insist I don't want that. So does that mean I'm an enemy of free speech? That I abhor free speech because I don't want ISIS beheading videos? Maybe Ben does. Maybe he feels that that's why it's like it. Maybe he would tweet more if he had, you know, he could throw some thumbs and some hearts on some people throwing, you know, the children of refugees in a wood chipper. I don't know what gets his, you know, gets him out of bed in the morning.
That free speech allowed alternative viewpoints to get out there.
Yes, alternative viewpoints, like take ivermectin, who needs a vaccine, that kind of stuff. Great.
And they successfully cudgeled places like Twitter and Facebook into doing their bidding, which is why at the end of the 2020 election, 1 month before the 2020 election, you saw the Hunter Biden story completely shut down on social.
I'm sorry, what story is that? I'm not familiar. Is there a laptop? Have you seen it? You have a laptop right there. Is that the Hunter Biden laptop? I don't remember McIsaac telling me it had a Daily Wire sticker on it. He said it had a Beau Biden Foundation sticker on it. And if it does, I don't know where it is. If it done, then personally I would like to know, vinyl or fabric?
Media in coordinated fashion. It's why you saw all of these social media.
Well, it's because it was a stunt within 3 weeks of the election, and a lot of newspapers would often go, we're not letting you just kind of, you know, take out a large ad in our paper. And so Twitter and Facebook did similar things because the last time they allowed that shit to happen, and the butter emails bullshit turned out to be a lie, and they bought into it and spread it around. By the way, what laptop?
Outlets begin to coordinate in who they would ban. And they would wait until one day and then just Alex Jones was gone. Now, I think Alex Jones is terrible. That doesn't mean he ought to be banned from social media.
It's not, no, it's, you don't ban people for quote unquote being terrible. What he was being banned for was saying things like Sandy Hook was faked, or that the vaccine has fucking chips in it and shit like that. And it was being spread so much that he already has an outlet. His speech is not limited in any way. That motherfucker has his own goddamn network. Why the fuck does he deserve to be on Twitter if he won't play by the rules, whatever rules they set? Sorry. If tomorrow, if let's just say for the sake of argument, if Ben Shapiro bought Twitter tomorrow and insisted that to be on the site as a term of service, that I had to only refer to women, gays, and minorities in using the most pejorative term they could come up with. And that's in the terms of service. He could absolutely do that legally. Have every right. I wouldn't stay on the fucking site. I would leave. I wouldn't sue to make them change the language I can use on the site because I wouldn't want to be there. All these assholes are doing are taking advantage of giant platforms and making free money off the back of it. And when they get kicked to the curb for not living up to the terms of service that the rest of us have to live up to, but never even bump against the edges of most of the time because we don't have infantile, violent vocabularies.
I think Milo Yiannopoulos is awful. I don't think he ought to be banned from social media.
He's not banned from social media. He's all over Getter, Parler, Gab. He can be on all of the social media that doesn't give a fuck what he says. Not all of them have to do that.
These outlets would simply, all at once, decide that they wanted these people gone, and then they would, in collusive fashion, just ban them. And that was the end of them.
Or, thank you for Occam's rubber mallet, but, or whatever the controversy these fuckers got kicked for was the same on all platforms because they just post and repost the same shit on their Facebook page, on their Instagram, and on their Twitter. And all of those sites have very normalized terms of service, and so they broke them all at once. They didn't coordinate. The coordination is, that's like saying all the airlines are coordinating to kick off passengers that threaten the pilot with violence or yell, "I have a bomb." They worked with the FAA to organize. Get the fuck out of here.
You saw them all do this to Donald Trump in the aftermath of January 6th, for the most prominent example.
Yes, wherein on all of his sites, he was continuing to seed violence, and as the current president, the sitting president of the United States, he had access and the ability to carry out more violent acts, and that was an extreme circumstance. They have no fucking reason why they would have to leave him on. And secondarily, I still do not fucking understand why Republicans anywhere want to force a private company to have to give a government elected official, or even a bureaucrat for that matter, an appointed office holder, an automatic account that they have to give them. What the fuck is that? How does that even work? And by the way, and that person, the president of the United States, can violate all the terms of service that the regular citizenry would get broomed for. So let me get this right. This is what Ben Shapiro is arguing for. That Trump could come on, foment an insurrection, goad people to show up at the fucking Capitol, and then charge the fucking doors, and then afterwards go, "You're very special. I love you. You'll remember this day for the rest of your life. Now go home and feel like you're special. Also, wink, wink, we'll see you at the state capitals. And this has been robbed and rigged and rigged and robbed, and that's why you did it, and you were really right, and blah, blah, and foment this bullshit." They've got to carry his words. They have a responsibility to let this motherfucker stay on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube or whatever. They have to let him stay on. Why? Because he's an elected official? So, I don't think, I've heard a lot of arguments about why Trump should be back on Twitter. And this is officially the dumbest one. You hear this from Newsmax all the time. They kicked the president of the United States off of Twitter. And yet the Ayatollah has one. Like, nobody in this fucking country takes the Ayatollah seriously en masse. The president of the United States is our president. It's an American company. It's going to be different. Secondarily, none of these assholes were calling people to, like, rise up and show up in the Capitol. If they did, they get broomed too. But the most important aspect of this is that the federal government or even state governments should not have the right to tell a private company that engages in either social media or journalism or any of those things to force them to allow government officials to have free reign to say whatever the fuck they want. And I guess in this case, former government officials. Like, once you're elected, after that, you can stay on forever and say whatever you want. You could, you can bust the terms of service. The rest of us would get broomed forever, but you get to stay on. Because why? Because the government should be able to write a law. Like, why am I arguing the libertarian angle on this? This is just so fucking lost on me. It's so dumb. Oh, play is stupid. Hold on. It does this thing. I have to jump back and forth. What are you doing? Why are you frozen, you big silly thing? Hold on. Try beyond here. Pause that. See if I can go back over here. Why is this not working? There we go.
And you can see that by the freakout.
Okay, here you go.
It all gets tracked by three-letter agencies, by big tech, both. Anytime they want.
Oh, I see. Because
These people go on, and then they would, in collusive fashion, just ban them. And that was.
And by the way, it wasn't collusive fashion. Big dumb person does big dumb thing on one particular date. Everybody reacts to the big dumb thing. They didn't have to coordinate. It was coordinated based on the idea that across the board you can't do shit like that on social media.
Of them.
And they let him get away with it for fucking ever.
You saw them all do this to Donald Trump in the aftermath of January 6th, for the most prominent example. And this is something that the left loved. And then
No. We were just, like, fed up with him being able to break the rules when other people got to stay on longer until it led to actual bloodshed.
About it. The left would say, we're not anti-free speech. We're not anti-transparency. We just don't want any free speech or transparency. Well,
yeah, that's how I said it. That's how I phrased it. I mean, who couldn't hear the way I talk about it and not take that away? P.S. This motherfucker wants the federal government to write some kind of a rule that if you get elected into office, every website that exists, I suppose, because it would have to apply equally across everything, has to assign you a verified account, and you can say whatever the hell you want.
Elon Musk has said,
because by government fiat. What kind of CCP bullshit is this?
In taking over Twitter, is that he wants more free speech and more transparency. And he tweeted out, I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter because that is what free speech means. People on the left lost their ever-loving minds.
Did you? I don't even know who he's speaking of.
Their minds. Why? Because
he'll talk. Let me see who he considers that, who lost their minds. Because they tweeted things angrily or something?
He's new. Their assumption always was Twitter was on their side. Twitter was their outlet. Twitter.
No, we didn't. Trump was all over it up till January fucking 6th.
Was their friend. The same thing with Facebook. The same thing with YouTube. And so the minute that somebody threatens that monopoly, they freak out. The minute.
Yeah, that's what I wrote. As soon as Parler started, I was like, oh, dear God.
He says, listen, I'd like more openness and more transparency. They lose their minds, which shows you, again, they were lying the whole time. They kept saying to all of us on the right, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. Twitter is the town square. You're complaining about the way that they are manipulating.
By the way, this asshole still has his account on Twitter and has never been broomed because he knows how to color inside the lines. He just learned it last week.
Information or strangling off information or bottlenecking things or shadow banning people. You keep saying this sort of stuff, but it's all in your head. It's not real.
Yeah, please show me the shadow banning.
Okay, well, if it's not real, then why are you freaking out now that Elon Musk has threatened to open up the process?
I mean, basically because the idea is that he's going to give Trump a Twitter account again. That's that's the long and short of that bullshit.
So all of this is
also, I'm not worried. Please.
Question as to what exactly Elon Musk is going to do once he takes over. By the way, Twitter shares did rise almost 6% on Monday to close at $51.70 each. The stock, according to the Wall Street Journal, has been an anemic performer in an era of huge returns for technology companies. Its shares jumped on their first day of trading in 2013 to close at $44.90, within $1 of where they were more than 8 years later when Mr. Musk made his approach. We'll get to more on all of this.
Oh, God. And then I think he does an ad here. Hold on.
Your device is unique.
Yeah, whatever. Fucking. God damn. These things are like, 80% ad?
What exactly is Elon Musk committing to do? Well, as I've said, he hasn't actually committed to do much at all at this point, other than more free speech and more transparency. There's some.
Thank God we're going back to the show that we know and love at Ben Shapiro's. I think it's called the Ben Shapiro Show. Last I checked, it's a little blurry, a little fuzzy in my head. Where we really get the show we enjoy from him, which is him looking at his laptop like a guy jabbering at a Starbucks.
Speculation as to what he is.
I'm glad they moved them. Notice how they moved the mic closer to his face? Maybe his voice won't sound as pinchy and whiny if we get a better mic and move it. Can we put it actually in his throat?
According to the Wall Street Journal, Musk wants to make substantial changes to Twitter. He reiterated his push to soften Twitter's stance on content moderation. He also promised new features like making algorithms open source.
Yes, you mentioned. We know. Yes, and?
Indicated to regulatory filings, tweets, and interviews at a TED conference how he thinks the company ought to run and what he would do if he were to successfully acquire the social media site. Here's a list of what he said. He said he would soften its stance on content moderation. He has self-described...
Soften. Key phrase there. Hold on. I feel like this is way loud. Is that way loud? Is the clip way loud? It seems like it is. I can't tell.
Free speech absolutist. He said that instead of just taking down tweets or permanent...
By the way, no, he isn't. There's no such thing as a free speech absolutist. That is a colloquialism, because nobody is, unless you're like, yeah, snuff films, fucking beheading videos. anti-Catholic porn. Yes, no age restrictions. Like, that's a free speech absolutist. Get out of here.
Banning users, timeouts are better. He says the platform should follow the
Timeouts are better. No, nothing about the nanny state.
to the countries in which it provides services. He would create an edit feature for tweets, which presumably would allow you to see the original version of the tweet and then also the edited tweet.
Right, an edit button. Like, that's the biggest change you're going to notice. He's going to do that. And the reason there's not an edit button, quite frankly, is essentially so you can't change the meaning of people's replies. So there has to be effectively a metadata version of it where you can see what the original tweet was in case somebody writes, tell me your favorite tree, whatever. Like, tell me what you have as your pet. Tell me what kind of pet you have, cat or dog. And the people write cat, dog, and then they change the original tweet. What animal would you fuck first if you broke into a house and there were only pets there? Like, that's why you need a sort of what would be effectively a chain of custody of what's been said. Oh, that's a good point. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, by the way. I know it's not nearly as interesting as Ben Shapiro reading from his laptop, like he's giving a school presentation, but he peed his pants, so he doesn't want to stand up in front of the class, so the teacher's letting him use the desk. I know it's not that, but I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, be a Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/HalSparks. And then, of course, you can always be a member on YouTube. You can subscribe on Twitch, which, by the way, I think, where'd our little thing go? Screen share, subscribe, is that it? Oh, that's my alien. Oh, here you go. And this guy, you can, if you use Cash App, you can donate that way. That's good. I'll leave that up for a second just to annoy Ben. All right, here we go.
He wants to take the company private because he says that there is no way to make the changes he wants without taking it private. He wants to give users who pay for Twitter Blue authentication check marks.
You could do articles like this where you just kind of go, this is one line from this Wall Street Journal article. You can read it by clicking the link below. And what I thought about it, here's the main thing that stood out to me, and then you could kind of speak on it as if you actually had your own fucking point that was valid and not just read what the Wall Street Journal already printed.
So maybe the idea here is that in order to monetize the service, to get your account authenticated, you pay for that pleasure.
It is a pleasure. It will be a pleasure to be authenticated. And how do they do it? Is it a turn your head and cough kind of a thing? We do have live audio, I believe, from there's a room you go to at Twitter to get verified.
Drop your shorts and bend over, Mr. Babar.
Right.
Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
Yeah, at least you're verified now. That's the good part.
Rely less on advertising. He says Twitter should shift toward a business model that relies more on subscriptions, which again makes some sense. He wants to stop.
Yeah, some sense. Go out on a fucking limb. It's a private company. You can subscribe to it. It's already got a user base. A bunch of them will run for the hills, but some people will pay $5 a year or $3 a year to only interact with people who are legitimate. It doesn't even have to cost much. You can buy features if you want to move up the chain, but some sort of recurring payment that proves you're you and requires a legit. I mean, there's ways around it. Fucking privacy.com. Look at it. You can make up your own credit card number and your own name in there. That people will do that. But some level of verification where you don't even see in your feed people who aren't genuine people is the idea.
And scam bots.
It's the same thing. By the way, when you set up a Facebook business page and stuff, at some point you have whoever's getting either paid or buying ads. That's the main thing. If you're buying ads to promote the page, you got to show them your ID at some point. It's a digital process. It's really clunky and weird.
And allow for longer tweets as well. So maybe move toward a more Substacky type model so you can...
Yeah, that'd do it. That's great. So your fucking feed gets miles long.
Subscribe, and then you can put out longer tweet threads. Okay, all of that is fine. Here is what Elon Musk actually should do.
Okay, all right. That's all the normal shit that would actually function as a business thing that he's just kind of desting around and effectively just, throwing, out to see who bites, just baiting people to go, edit button, yes, verified subscription, and I only see people who are real, yes, but I can reach audiences of people who don't want to be, like, let's hear what it is. We got, how much time we got? We got a minute left in this fucking video. No, it fucking hell. It always does this. Hold on. It doesn't want me to be able to. Hold on. Like, record the
Musk
page.
needs to come in and he needs to fire everyone.
Okay.
I mean, everyone.
All right, this is the. Yeah, we get that. Okay. We're back to. Hold on. I have to, like, reset it.
4 things in particular that Elon Musk really needs to do.
Okay. And by the way, these are his ideas. So why the fuck can't he just... Well, maybe he won't read them. It just looks like he wrote them down. I'm getting aggravated. This is
Number 1, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. So you keep hearing from the left after January 6th, we need a Truth and Reconciliation... Like South Africa, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to see who was a supporter of Donald Trump. Okay, what
the fuck? Again, like, the straw men in this area, it's like the Wizard of Oz with no Tin Man, no Cowardly Lion, no Toto, and no Dorothy, no Wicked Witch. No, it's like all scarecrows all the time.
In order to restore trust in Twitter, is we need to see all the old algorithmic changes and how exactly they impacted user experience. So we need to see who is shadow banned. We need to see which keywords allowed for people to be banned. We need to see the standards that were applied. We need the books opened, and we need to see the history of what exactly happened.
Why? If he's gonna change it and fix it going forward, I mean, I don't care. Do it. But what the fuck will that do? Told ya. Look, you couldn't even say the N-word if you have a Daily Wire subscription. Like, I don't know what the standard will be. Fucking
With
hell.
Twitter. How was the decision made to get rid of the Hunter Biden story?
Well, first of all, start with the idea that it's a story and work backwards to the fact that it's election manipulation and bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. There is no Hunter Biden laptop. Fuck you. Knock it off. Why does everyone keep saying this? It's aggravating.
How was the decision made to get rid of the Babylon Bee? How was the decision made to shadow ban particular accounts or quash the reach of particular accounts? How did that happen?
Well, you're assuming that they did. What happens if they let you look at that shit and you go, actually, it was just a lot less interesting than you thought it was. You weren't getting shadow banned. It's just a lot of your, the right wing was being lifted by bots. And some days the bots just took days off or moved to other accounts. And you had like 10 different accounts run by the same fucking guy. And he could only run on one story at a time. And different stuff took precedence. And then they were inside there playing whack-a-mole individually.
So we need a Truth and Reconciliation Commission over at Twitter. That is step number 1.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we need a Nuremberg trial at fucking Twitter. I'm glad he knows.
Number 2,
they're serious.
we do need transparency in the algorithmic selection process. So Musk has already committed to this. He says that he wants an open source algorithm, meaning that we can all see how content is being elevated or how content is being suppressed. That is a very good thing, and that promise needs to be fulfilled. Because how are you going to trust the process if you can't actually see the process at work?
Yeah, and how are you going to enjoy the process if any rogue state or group of lunatics can't just dump a bunch of money to fuck around and boost whatever they want because they know how to game the algorithm in a way that regular citizens wouldn't even know what to do with it if they saw it? Good Lord.
If Musk does that, there'll be a major change because that does establish credibility. That does mean, you don't...
That does mean that Macedonian hacker farms will know exactly what buttons to push and what word organization to use to boost their shit to the top, just like people manipulate the YouTube algorithm to get their videos up to the top. And visibility, like popular accounts will get more popular, unpopular accounts will drop off the fucking cliff. That's how it works most of the time.
How it's being run? Well, at least you can see how it's being run. Right now, the lack of transparency in Twitter is what has led to the massive distrust. Because your tweet goes down or you're suspended and you have no idea. There's no feedback mechanism. You have no idea what you did wrong.
Well, you have some idea. Half these assholes are trying to get knocked off for a day just so they can go, I was in Twitter jail for a whole day. Like, that was a game the right wing played. Like, dude, just get bounced for a day. You get 2 free shots, so say something and get kicked off and then delete the tweet and they'll let you through. Like RSBN, that's how they get all the Trump shit on YouTube now without getting their channel taken down, is that they live stream it and then immediately take the live stream down, post it elsewhere.
To wait for like a week for some Twitter low-level employee doing scut work to get back to you.
Fucking peons. You're not worthy to be reading and judging Ben Shapiro's tweets, okay?
The algorithmic process, more open and transparent, at least allows us to know why these things are happening.
It was because you were boring. It's because you're kind of repetitive. You say everything else the other right-wing pundits do, but you do it in kind of a chirpy, belligerent, weird way. That's why. You're welcome.
It's a glitch, or whether it's a problem, or whether it's an actual concerted attempt to shut down particular points of view.
Does it have to be a higher up if it's a glitch? Is somebody in middle management enough?
There need to be clear rules of the road. So Twitter has had very, very vague rules of the road. This is also true of Facebook and YouTube. Basically, these rules of the road have allowed for bans on anything that Twitter doesn't like. And so you've...
Yeah, it's almost like it's their fucking company.
This very inconsistent punishing of things like quote-unquote dead naming, right? This is why the Babylon Bee got banned, because the Babylon Bee made the tremendous mistake of saying that a man is not a woman and a woman is not a man. And so the Babylon Bee had its account suspended despite the fact that it is a satire site. So we need clear rules of the road. And what would that mean? That mean no violent threats, no intimidation,
No violent threats, no intimidation. With you so far.
no pornography.
Wait a minute. You had me at intimidation, but no pornography? None? What do you... And by the way, who wants Ben Shapiro to define pornography for all of us?
Clear rules of the road, and then everything else goes.
By the way, those are the 3 things. No threats, no intimidation, and no pornography. If the person's already... I guess corpse porn... Just dead bodies, beheading videos. Are those threats? Not really. Is that intimidation? You can feel intimidated, but that's not the intent of the person. Is it pornography? Depends on what you're into, I guess.
I think that Musk is likely to re-implement something like that.
Yeah. Of all people, Elon Musk, who had an affair with Amber Heard behind Johnny Depp's back while she was faking her bullshit, is going to remove pornography from the site as, based on a standard created by Ben, I buy my wood 1 plank at a time at Home Depot, Shapiro.
Then finally, and this is the most important thing.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm glad you saved it for the end so that we could really, because I'm riveted. You guys ready? This is the most important thing. So no porn, intimidation stuff, truth and reconciliation, open algorithm, which is basically what he means is the same thing. Like, why do they pick those things? It's just the first 2 are the same. So I feel cheated, first of all. We were supposed to get 4. We're getting 3. 1 was removed.
Musk needs to come in and he needs to fire everyone.
Oh, that's the one you said at the top.
I mean everyone. Twitter has hundreds, if not thousands, of employees.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Fire hundreds of thousands of people. Fire them all.
Studies done of the donations, the political donations of the people working at Twitter. 98.7% of all donations from the people working at Twitter went to Democrats in the last election
Yeah, I trust that.
cycle. 98.7%. So
98.7. Yes, all the incel coders who work from home, all those guys straight up, none of them have been black-pilled.
it doesn't matter what rules Elon Musk sets top down if the so-called Twitter deep state is still implementing
Fucking hell, everything's a conspiracy.
its favored policy.
Honestly, lay off the grains.
Because this is the thing. Right? Donald Trump found this out when he was president.
Did he? He found this out when he was president. And whoever's next president, according to Ben, you should come in and fire everyone in the federal government.
Name the policy top down, but if everybody at the State Department hates your guts, they're just going to undermine your policy. You can name the policy top down, but if everybody at the FBI decides to spend the next 4 years ginning up nonsense about Russian conspiracy theories.
They didn't. That doesn't look crazy at all. He even doesn't buy it. Look how high his eyes are going. At least Glenn Beck leans back when he looks at the ceiling to lie.
Can't get much done.
Yeah, can't get much done.
Musk takes over the company.
Fuck, that hurt my eyes looking at it.
He should do what every boss at every company does, and he should review the employee list and figure out who is good and who is bad.
Yes. So, Elon Musk, good luck. I know you've got, a rocket ship, launch right now, and you're obviously Tesla is working on a form of battery that doesn't use lithium, so it creates less toxic waste over the lifespan of the car. And I know you're working on that or whatever. And I know you try to get in 2 hours of Call of Duty a day. But Ben Shapiro wants you to do a performance and personality review of anyone who works at Twitter. And if they donated to the wrong political party for him, you should fire them. Is this just a backdoor way of him trying to get some people that will their only chance will be to go, I guess, work at Truth Social?
Not purely on the basis of politics, but on the basis of performance. And the good news is,
well, I'm glad it's not just if they're a Democrat or a Bernie Sanders supporter. And by the way, what do you think the breakdown of that is?
Many of these employees are already sounding off on Elon Musk. And they've given him good excuse to fire them.
Sorry. So if you shit on the boss, you can be that whether you have value to the company or not, he should just fire you. Now, if it's a private company, he takes it private, fine, and it ends up capsizing it, that's his ass. He has every right to do that. Whether it's prudent is a totally different matter. And these are the 4 things that this dickhead came up with. That's the best he can do. The first 2 were the same thing. Show us the algorithm and how I was totally shadow banned. All my interesting things were being shadow banned. I should have gotten a lot more likes on what I said. I was way more loved. It has nothing to do with the fact that I have tens of thousands of bots following me. It's toot sensual. Yes, that's true. Thule, thank you. Yeah, Ben Shapiro can't believe that he's just not interesting a good portion of the time. It must be that my tweets are getting put down somehow. They're not trending like they should. I had to pay for things to trend. Right. And then what was the other one? Besides fire everyone? I've forgotten it already. Like I gave a fuck. Oh, for fuck's sake. Just dumb. Where are you?
Now that sounds...
Okay, hold on.
Is we need to see all the old...
Yeah.
What was the decision made to...
Yeah, right.
How content is being elevated or...
Right.
The lack of transparency in Twitter...
Right.
At least allows us to know why these things are happening.
All right.
You've seen this very inconsistent...
All right.
No violent threats, no intimidation.
Okay.
Woman is not a man. And so the Babylon Bee had its account suspended despite the fact that it is a satire. There's some pretty clear rules of the road, and then everything else goes. And I think that Musk is
three was clarify the terms of service. That seems to be the one, right? That seems to be... Lil Ben is confused about the terms of service, what you can do, what you can't do, how you can do it and when you can do it and who you can do it to, and whether or not it involves a pineapple. Let's see. Twitter terms of service. Outside the United States, included you live in the United States, Eastern, okay. Okay, so here is the Twitter terms of service. There are several different breakdowns. Oop, I got to move my, take a picture of it while you can. I'll bring it back out. These are the areas of the terms of service. There's 6 whole areas. So, I mean, it's honestly, I'm overwhelmed. Just 6 things. The who may use the service thing. We'll get to that. Privacy. He didn't give a shit. This is what it is. Content on the services, using them, and this is the Section 230 part. And then there's some general thing. These are the 2 parts, I think, that probably most concern Lil Ben. Lil Benny Ben. Okay, so here we go. Let's take a look. Content on the services. You are responsible for your use of the services and for any content you provide, including compliance with applicable laws, rules, and regulations. You should only provide content that you are comfortable sharing with others, like a picture of you outside a Home Depot holding some wood, and no one can figure out why the fuck you're doing that. Any use or reliance on any content or materials posted by the service or obtained by you through the services is at your own risk. We don't endorse, support, represent, or guarantee the completeness, truthfulness, accuracy, or reliability of any content. That's more on the receiving end. Or guarantee the completeness, truthfulness, reliability of content or communication posted via the services, or endorse any opinions expressed via the services. So what people say isn't what we say. All right, we know that. You understand that by using them, you may be exposed to content that might be offensive, harmful, inaccurate, or otherwise inappropriate, or in some cases, postings that have been mislabeled or otherwise deceptive. All content is the sole responsibility of the person who originated content. We may not monitor or control the content posted by the services, and we cannot take responsibility for such content. Okay, baseline, legally, they got to put that in there. And that's reasonable. It's a social media site with millions of users, just like Facebook, it's fucking like 1 billion users. It's absurd that they could manage all of that. Something's going to get through. You should be ready as an adult because you are walking around effectively in a digital version of public, and somebody might walk up to you and do something awful. We reserve the right to remove content that violates the user agreement. Like if someone walks up to you in a park and flashes you, the cops can't stop that from before it happens, but they can arrest the person after, right? Same deal. No one's going to protect you if you go out into the world, the big bad world, and you're going to see all these people that some of them aren't going to be mean, gross, violent, stupid, blah, blah, blah. That's truth. And that's going to happen. That's the truth. And that's going to happen on Twitter as well. If somebody does that, though, you can always call the cops. That's the theory. And so that's what they have here. Including, for example, copyright or trademark violations or other intellectual property misappropriation, impersonation, unlawful conduct, or harassment. Information regarding specific policies of the process for reporting or appealing violations can be found in their help center. Oh, good. There's a help center and a hot link. Ben, if you ever need to figure out how to remedy it, there it is. There's how to report. And managing your account, suspended Twitter accounts if you get kicked off for doing it. There you go. Sender, receiver. Receiver, sender. Either one. All right. If you believe that your content has been copied in a way that constitutes copyright infringement, please report this by visiting our copyright reporting forum. They have that as well. There's their Twitter thing. There you go. Your rights and grant of rights to the content. You retain your rights to any content you submit. This is the opposite of like Parler and some of the other. You own your content, and your incorporated audio, photos, and videos considered a part of that content. By submitting, posting, or displaying content through the services, you grant us a worldwide, non-exclusive, royalty-free license with the right to sub-license, use, copy, reproduce, process, adapt, modify, publish, transmit. This is all boilerplate, but the idea is that if you post it on Twitter and they want to use it in an ad, they have every right to. That's, but you still retain your right to the content everywhere else, except where they're promoting themselves. Because if they didn't, like you could charge people for every retweet, just drop a lawsuit and it would fall apart. Twitter is an evolving set of rules for how ecosystem partners can interact with your content on services. That means they're adding new shit, so new rules will apply. These rules exist to enable an open ecosystem with your rights in mind. You understand we may modify or adapt your content as it is distributed, syndicated, published, if it's square, if it's flat, if we decide we're going totally linear, whatever. So, and you post anything we assume you have the rights to post it and you're not stealing it from somebody else. You're saying it's yours, so you have the right to put it up. Let's see. Using the services, disclaimers, and ending these terms. There you go. You may end your illegal agreement with Twitter at any time by deactivating your account and discontinuing your use of services. We may suspend or terminate your account or cease providing you with all or part of the services at any time for no reason, including, but not limited to, if we reasonably believe you have violated these terms of the Twitter rules and policies, Periscope community guidelines, which don't exist anymore. You haven't updated this in a bit. You create risk or possible legal exposure for us. That's the other thing. This is, by the way, where the hydroxy and horse paste issues came in. Your account should be removed due to unlawful conduct. Your account should be removed due to prolonged inactivity, or a provision of the service is no longer commercially viable. That's if we start charging for our services and we can just shut it off. We will make reasonable efforts to notify you, depending on the service, and all such things. Okay, that's it. Pretty clear. Not really that confusing. Specifically, there is a using the services. Twitter rules and policies. There you go. General, understanding the rules and policies. Platform integrity, safety and cybercrime, intellectual property, platform guidelines, law enforcement guidelines, research. Okay, so let's look at the general. Misleading and deceptive identities. That's fake accounts. That'll be fixed largely by the rule he would put in place. That's one of the first reasons. So that's why it's at the top. Synthetic manipulated media policy, which is why the New York Post story and the Hunter Biden laptop nonsense was stopped. Platform manipulation spam, which is basically the fact that story and a lot of others got bounced, not because it would be like kind of on the radar of Twitter or even Facebook in some cases. This happens a lot, to squash them, shadow ban them as it were. But if they're artificially pushed up by viewing farms, like on YouTube, I've shown you guys before. Here I'll show you exactly why most of the stuff, especially similar to the shadow ban stuff that they're talking about, why things get kicked off. Let's see if I can do this. Let's just look straight at this. We'll just click on some and look at it. All I put into Google was buy Twitter likes. And this is 27 cents per 1,000. Followers, likes, and comments get 10% on your first deposit. Increase your Twitter followers, hire for a fixed price. Twitter buy likes, premium Twitter likes. Buy Twitter likes, real and instance, $6.99 at famous follower. That's the thing, or whatever. Best sites to buy Twitter likes and retweets. That's what they're talking about. Yeah, they have watching farms in Leslie. Watching farms in India, Leslie. That's right. Not in Leslie. In Leslie, Indiana is actually a city, but in Indiana. So people buy these, and this is against the rules of Twitter. And so what happens is that stories like the Hunter Biden BS or any of those kind of things, especially leading up to an election, these accounts, which Twitter is aware of and does, is constantly farming, they spike like fucking crazy. And everybody goes, this story's being suppressed. It's like, no, it isn't. All these fake accounts are boosting it as an attack. And the algorithm reacts to it. And that's what they're going to find out when they look at the algorithm. What they're going to find out is when they look at the algorithm and they see this truth and reconciliation thing, what you're going to see is Macedonian hacker farms, Indian and Indonesian, Vietnam, even some Chinese firms spend all day liking and boosting stories. And Twitter and Facebook and other sites like that respond by basically leveling it out. So there you go.